Kia ora guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Adam Goodwillie, and today I'm going to go over how to do the basic edit in Lightroom. If you're just new to Lightroom and you just want to jump in and start editing, this video is going to help you. I'm also going to show you what I think is the most powerful tool in Lightroom. On that note, let's jump into it. The photo I've chosen for you guys today is from the big beehive in Lake Louise, Alberta, Canada. That's where it's located. It is about an hour away from Banff. The story behind this shot here is I had some friends visiting from New Zealand and they wanted to go to the lake, do Lake Louise, the tea house. So I said, sure, I'll come with you. They're at my bar. I finished at work at 3 AM. I said I'll meet in the car park at 5 AM. They thought I was crazy. It's okay. When it's they didn't understand why I wanted them to be there at 5 AM. We got there, we started to hike up Knoll on the trail. It was amazing. And then when we got to the top, took our photos. On our way down, they knew why I wanted them to start at 5 AM, and it's because in Banff in summertime it's crazy busy. Lake Louise is crazy busy with all the buses or tourists coming in, so you got to get there early, get some of these hikes out of the way. So on the way down, they saw the people and they were just flabbergasted with all the crowds of people. So after that, they actually thanked me to start at 5 AM. So let's jump into this edit. So the first thing I do is, you can see the photo is quite overexposed up here. So I am going to go over the highlights. Now the highlights, if you bring your highlights down, you can start seeing your clouds. You can see it all come back. So you can already start seeing the clouds there, it's all great. It's a little bit dark inside the Fairview Mountain here, so we're gonna bring up the shadows and you can see a lot more. So we'll bring it down to, go down to 38. Now your whites, if you hold down Option or Alt, you can bring your whites up. You can see the overexposed areas. So we don't even need to increase that because it is overexposed. Same with the blacks. You can hold down the Alt or Option and you can bring it down and see what is getting underexposed with the blacks on highlights there. So let's bring it down to 18. Now since it is a little bit too overexposed, I'm going to bring down the exposure just a little bit. If it's still too dark for your liking, you can always increase the shadows. Cool. Contrast, give it a little bit of contrast, a little bit, sharpens it up a little bit. Now that's not looking too bad already. If you ever want to go back to just to see what it was before without going down here with the reset, you can push your backspace button or backslash. I'll put in the description what it is. But you got your backslash, before, after. Before is the after. It's already looking better. So we're going to come down to this panel and we've got the texture. Now texture is just a new one. You can see what it does when you bring it all the way up. It really sharpens it, all the textures throughout the tree line down the bottom there. I'm going to bring it up to about +10. Clarity is a big one. Now if you're doing clarity, if you bring it up all the way to the top, it sucks all the color out. It over sharpens everything. Personally, it gives it this weird glow around the lakes and just around the mountains and just a different area. So with the clarity, what I like to do is just keep this at around just under 28. So I really go over 28. So I usually keep it under that, and this one here, I'll just bring it about 25. Yeah, 25. Yeah, we can go back before, after, see what's happening. Dehaze I usually bring down a little bit to the darker side. You can always bring this up to the lighter side if it's too, but then it blows out a lot of your details. So we're going to bring this down just a little bit. Now the vibrance and saturation, I don't bring up my saturation a lot. I don't like oversaturated photos, but that's my personal preference. It's really up to you what you want to do. I bring up my vibrance a little bit and I'll bring down my saturation. Okay, so that is pretty much the basic. Just jumping into Lightroom, that's just pretty much a basic one. That's the before, that's the after. You can see it's a little bit better. There is a lot more options you could do though, but that's just a quick setup I will get done as soon as I jump into Lightroom. Now, the next part I will bring up is you could use these wheels up here. So you've got your crop. So down here in the corner, how we've got a bit of a tree and we've got a bit of a branch. Now you could use your spot removal to get rid of them. It's just going to take a lot more time and you're not going to get everything because I'll show you what it does. This thing out here, you can take out that, you can bring it up, bring up your circle a little bit bigger, click it, and like it does an okay job. With bigger areas I find there's always it's not the greatest. So if you ever need to go back without going into your history, you can go into click into the history and click back what you just did. That will take away that. But another one, you can do Command Z and do undo. So we'll come back to this and then Command Z again. Or Control Z, but Command on a Mac. And it will take you right back to where you are. If you ever make a mistake, Control Z, back to it. There we go. Now I'm going to use a gradient filter, this one here. And we're just going to do this guy. So this you can half split your whole photo if you like. I'm just going to do this guy, just because I feel like it's a little bit overexposed. I'm going to bring the exposure down a little bit, bring back a whole lot of clouds in there. Bring back down the highlights, bring up a little bit of contrast. Done. Yeah, that's looking not too bad. Now, my favorite tool in this whole thing is the brush. Now the brush is, you can do everything with the brush. You can color in, you can pretty much color in the sky, you can just shade, what's the word? You can bring the color in the sky, you can paint anything, you can, we'll just start with this. So you can bring up the exposure. So with the paintbrush, bring up the exposure, and you can see these beams coming in through here. Now I'm going to paint these beams in. Just gives that bit of a oomph to the photo. It's a little bit different. You can see it in the photo. You just want to bring them out a little bit. Now this beam here, it's coming onto the Fairview Mountain. So we're just going to bring this out, and it actually looks like it's hitting it a lot more. Let's bring these out a bit more as well, just so we got some shine from the beams. Looks great. Now you can also go new, click new up here. So we've got this. If you ever need to come back to here, you don't like this, you can always click back to here, just from the little icon there. Now we're going to go new, and we're going to paint in the lake. Now at any moment, if you are not sure what you are painting, you can always push O. Now O is going to bring up your highlight of what you've just painted. It's going to glow red. And the one thing I didn't even say, but I'll say it now, when you come to this, I'm going to delete that. I'm going to push delete. It's going to disappear. No worries. So next time you're going to go new, and you're going to be painting around the lake. Okay. Now I want the auto mask on. The reason why I want the auto mask on, if I don't, it's just the auto mask comes around the lake and it will try straighten everything out. Where if you don't have it on, it's going to go everywhere. So if I'm just going to go auto layer, auto mask, come around, see how it just follows the edge, which is fine. We can bring up the brush, make the brush a little bit bigger. See how it just goes around? It goes a little bit over, but that's okay. We can always fix that up. Now I'll just make that a little bit smaller. Now you can make it smaller by doing the size over here. I just roll it on my mouse. I just roll my finger on my mouse, and it just makes the cursor smaller. So I went over the tree line there, but that's no worries. We can always fix that up. Right. That's not too bad. Just a quick edited video of it. Now see, you can already see I've already gone over. That's no worries. You can always come back to erase. Come over here and just erase it. Right. Right. This will do for now. Now you can click O again. It makes it disappear. Now this whole area here, you're just going to be. This is just for the lake. This is not going to react to any other photo. It's just going to be the lake you're going to work on. So we're going to bring it down the exposure a little bit, make the lake a little bit darker, bring back some of the colors. We're going to decrease the highlights. Again, we can now get a sun star in there. I'm going to bring up the clarity a little bit. Bring up the saturation. And we'll bring down the temperature just a little bit colder. Bring back some of that color on that lake. We'll bring this exposure a little bit, get it more of a little bit of a lighter blue. That's looking already better for that. A couple of tweaks, and it's like that. That's the before, there's your after. Now I don't like these tree lines here, that's okay, so we're going to crop. I'm going to bring the crop in. Boom. And then we're going to bring it in again. Done. And that is pretty much just a quick landscape basic edit. Just done like that. So we'll move on and I'll show you the next photo that I'm going to do. So I'll just do a quick, this is the before, there's the after. And you can see the sun star come in here, the rays. It's looking good. Right, we'll move on. So for this next photo I'm going to bring up is a photo of Misaki. Now, Misaki is this guy here. I'm going to bring up the exposure just so you can actually see who he is. Now with Saki, he's a very good friend of mine. The story behind here, this backstory is we're at Moraine Lake. It is -15 out. We went there for sunrise. He always comes with me on like little adventures for like nighttime photography photos, and when it's a -30, some silly stuff we go out for. He's usually the guy that comes with me. This photo here, I took it is -15. We're at Moraine Lake. The lake is just frozen over. It was sunrise, and we could just see his mouth, just like all his facial hair, his whiskers, started freezing. So I took a photo of it while I was just setting up. I thought it was quite funny. But this guy here, the little story behind him, he's always out there to help people. So one thing that he does every year with his friend Scott Walker, so they go out there for mental awareness. Now they hike mountains. Like last year, even though it's a small mountain, it's Tunnel Mountain in Banff here, it is it's about 45 minutes to an hour to hike up. It's a pretty easy mountain to do unless you do it for 24 hours. Yeah, so these guys hike Tunnel Mountain for 24 hours straight. I joined them on 2, but even that I was like, 2 was enough, not 24 hours, I'll give you that. So he does, every year they will do something else. They've done the 4 peaks in Banff, so that's Mount Rundle, Cascade Mountain, Sulphur Mountain, and then they chucked on Tunnel Mountain at the end of that as well. So he's just crazy, I tell you. But anyway, we'll jump into this. Now with Saki, as you can see, I'm just going to restart this. It's already dark. I'm going to bring up the exposure so we can actually see the guy. We'll go a little bit lower than plus 1.8. Now we're going to bring up the contrast. We'll just darken him a little bit. Decrease the highlights, and you can see the mountains come back. About 90 in the highlights. We can bring up the shadows so we can actually see him a little bit more. Bring up the 40. Whites, we talked about that white before. We can hold down Alt, see what's overexposed. We'll bring it under a little bit. Increase the blacks. Now texture Texture I'm going to bring up just a little bit so we can see a little bit more of the facial here. Now clarity, if you bring it up all the way to the top, it looks old. Ugh. Don't know about that. So again, I never go over plus 28 on this one here, so we're going to bring it down to a roughly about 20. Give him a little bit of sharpness around here. Dehaze, we can darken up just a little bit of dehaze, give more of a background there for you. Now bring in the color just a little bit, give him a little bit of color. Now back onto the brush. The brush is always amazing. Now with the brush, you can go down with effects here. You can click it. You can always do like the soften the skin. You can whiten the teeth. You can do the iris. So we can you can always go command. Actually, we'll go done. We'll get close to his eyes. We'll go into brush. We'll go to the iris, and it's already going to dark. Now we'll make the cursor a little bit smaller. So 0.1. Just brighten up his eyes a little bit. There's a bit of a blue tinge to it, so I'm going to bring down the saturation there. Yeah. Not really sure why there was a blue tinge, but you can always fix that. There's no worries there. And close. We already bring out his eyes. Perfect. Now, we'll go back into brush. We'll go new. Go temp. Just keeps everything back to normal. And we're gonna paint the lake over here. So if you ever need to see what you need to do, what you're painting, push O again, and it will bring up what you have been over. Now this is going to be a quick go over. Just a quick edit to show you guys what's going on. Perfect, that will do. Now we will bring up the exposure just a little bit. We can already see it's a little bit brighter, a lot more of a nice light blue. Bring up saturation, and we will drop the temperature. See what color that gives us. Let's give us a deep dark blue. Bring up the exposure just a little bit more. I just want that more of a light blue tinge. Now you can see the highlights are blowing out a little bit there. It's because they weren't painted. That's okay. Right, so we're going to go back into the brush. We're going to go new, and we are going to paint him to bring him out a lot more, and he's not going to be so dark. Just bring up the exposure, and we'll paint his face. So here's the main subject of my shot. So I'll bring him out a little bit more. Now I'll find he's a little bit too yellow, or like too blue, sorry. So I'm going to bring up the yellows a little bit. Gives him a little bit more color. It's looking good. Maybe build up the saturation a little bit. Perfect. Now what we're going to do is we're going to crop the photo. Take out some of this. Take out some of this. Boom. Now he's looking good. Here's the before. Here's the after. Now what I'm going to do is use this spot removal. I'm going to take a spot removal here. There's a little bit of a tree right here, so I'm going to bring down the cursor. And that's what a spot remover does. Just like that. So there is your before shot, there is your after. So that is the quick edit in a Lightroom. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope this has helped. Let me know what you think. Write some comments, give me some feedback, hit that notification bell, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.